Showing up and posting your face online can sometimes feel awkward. Between overthinking how you look or how you sound, it can sometimes think yourself out of creating altogether. Well, in this episode, I'm going to be breaking down a few of the things that have helped me overcome these challenges and hopefully help you be more consistent and help you feel more confident in showing up online. All right, welcome back to the Keep Creating podcast, everyone. This is episode 5, and I'm actually quite honored and happy to be creating episode 5 for you guys. I know a lot of podcasts don't really get past episode 3, 4. The real mark is 10, so we're going to get there, but just wanted to say, congratulations to myself for this consistency. This is a level of consistency that we aim to keep doing and keep showing up here on the Keep Creating podcast. Also, blue is the vibe today. I feel like a lot of people are insecure when it comes to showing up online. And so I felt, a little color coordination, a little chill vibe is definitely, the way to go today. That's for the folks who are watching over on YouTube. If you are listening, thank you. But if you want to, see my face, see the vibe, really relax and enjoy the entire experience, head on over to YouTube, Keep Creating Pod. That's where you'll find us. So like I mentioned in the intro, today we're going to be talking about how to overcome some of this awkwardness when it comes to, creating and showing up online. And I want to start with something I deal with consistently, and that is getting over that hump of the uncomfortableness of showing up on camera and really getting to the meat and the point of why we think we look or sound cringe whenever we show up online. So I am someone who helps business owners and businesses create content professionally. I come in with high-end cameras and equipment, lights, microphones, the whole nine, and I come up with plans and sometimes scripts and prompts and all kinds of things to help business owners and people who want to do this show up online. Usually the first thing that I'm met with by, I would say probably 90% of the people that I work with is, I don't like how I look. I don't like how I sound. This feels cringe. Completely normal. What I always end up telling those people is you look how you look. Obviously you don't want to come in sloppy, but like you are, the way that you look on camera is how you look to other people. I don't know if that's like a psychological thing that people don't really understand, but like the way that the camera is showing you is what other people see with their eyes. And I'm talking about what it actually sees and shows, not the mixed up image that some people have in their brain. And that's not to downplay anybody with any body dysmorphia or anything like that. But like the way that you look is the way that you look. Similarly, the way that you sound is the way that other people hear you. I know that in our heads, we sound a little bit different than the way that other people hear us, but I don't think people need to be afraid of their voice because the way that you sound is how other people hear you anyway. It might feel different and sound different to you because you're hearing it. When you hear your voice, you're hearing it from the inside of your head, not from outside of your ears. And I learned that from like a scientific perspective, but like the way that you sound to other people, the way that you hear yourself on videos, the way you sound to other people. I need those things to make sense to you before we start. The second is they immediately start comparing themselves to other people and they're like, I want to show up like so-and-so. I want to show up like this person. And oftentimes when we peel back those layers, the person that they want to look and sound like has been doing this for years. They have years of practice, years of effort, years of probably and thousands of gigabytes and footage of videos and sound clips and sound bites that they have worked on over a long period of time to gain the confidence, to gain the vocabulary, to gain the fluidness of the way that they speak and present. And if this is your first time getting started, unless you are a public speaker or you're used to speaking to large groups of people, it's gonna feel weird. On the flip side of that, if you're someone who's doing this at home by yourself, kind of like me, in my own studio room setup, it can sometimes feel a little awkward to sit and talk to a camera, especially when, there's not actually another person in the room. There's no one else in this room with me. I'm speaking directly to you. And that is a mindset shift that I think a lot of people need to make whenever they start creating content. And I'll take it one step further and say that some people psych themselves out by thinking, oh God, I'm talking to 100 people. I'm talking to 1,000 people. I'm talking to the entire internet. If that is the part that scares you and is freaking you out, I want to zoom you out and say, I'm speaking to one person. I'm not speaking to my best friend. That's advice that I hear all the time. You're not speaking to your best friend. If you're a business owner, you're speaking to your target customer. Who is the person where if you knew that, they're an ideal customer, an ideal client, who is that person? That's who you're speaking to, one-on-one, not a group, not a large mass, one person. But I think the reason that a lot of people feel cringe doing this or putting themselves out there is because they're not used to doing it. This takes practice. I've had people tell me I look and sound pretty fluid and professional and comfortable in front of the camera. I've been doing this for over 10 years. I've been sitting and talking to a camera, looking the lens directly in the eye and doing this for 10 years. I have years of practice. That's why I can look and sound and feel the way that I do on camera. I've also taken public speaking classes. I've spoken in front of large groups of people before. This is not anything new or strange to me. I've been doing this. And so I have the practice, I have the repetition, and that's where we want to get you to. Once you go through the motions, you develop a sense of self, really, and then you get more comfortable with the repetition and the practice. It becomes easier, I promise. So if we can move past that initial mind block, I think moving forward, everything would flow just a little bit better. The next issue that people run into when they feel awkward on camera and they're really trying to move past this initial hurdle is that they need everything to be perfect. Everything has to be perfect. The lighting has to be perfect. The microphone has to be perfect. The camera setup has to be perfect. They're going to buy all this gear. They're going to bring in a guy or a person or a team with tons of cameras and equipment. And the first thing they're going to say is, can you make me look skinny? Or can you make me sound like super cool and suave? No. As we move further and further into technology and AI and all of these other things become a part of our daily lives, it's going to be more important that things don't look as perfect. It's going to be more important that you show up as a real human, that you're not always reading a script, that sometimes you can get vulnerable and mess up and flub a word in front of the camera. Things do not always have to be perfect. Part of creating content and part of the reason that people buy and connect with other people is their imperfections. Everything does not have to be perfect. Sure, you want it to look nice and you want it to look good. You don't want to come off as a slob, especially if you're a business owner or someone who's trying to sell something online. You don't want to come off as, unprofessional. But perfection, what is that? It's that's someone else's idea of perfect that is, quite frankly, unattainable. I think that the more real and honest you can be with people, the more likely they are able to connect with you. That's why I love being in person with people so much, is because you get to be imperfect. You get to laugh through the challenges or the mess ups. And that's what connects us. That's what makes us human. I think the main other component of imperfection is that it builds trust. Building trust is something that can be hard to do online. It feels like everyone nowadays is showing up as these perfect versions of themselves. Social media itself is mostly a highlight reel, and it can make people's lives look amazing. It can make their lives look perfect. But the content that stands out, besides the content that tells stories and really helps people and provides value, like we talked about in the last episode, is content that is personable, content that is real, content that is imperfect. Those are the things that help establish that human connection and really build that trust. And so whenever you're getting started in creating content, yes, like I said, you want it to look professional. You want to look as credible as possible. But perfect, I don't think that's what you should be aiming for. I think you should be aiming to be more real. And being real is a part of the reason that some people feel awkward on camera. I think there are a couple things that can help with this. First of all, if you can actually have someone be in the room with you, someone that you trust, someone who is going to help you and not judge you, I think that having that person in the room with you while you're creating your content to help you relax, help you be more real is always very helpful. The second is if you cannot have an actual person, sometimes having a picture of a person near or behind the camera can sometimes help you feel more comfortable in front of the camera and help dispel some of that awkwardness or that awkward energy and help you be more real. Some people like to put eyes on the camera or, set up a stuffed animal or something to visualize a person or visualize the interaction. All of those things can help you, relieve some of that anxiety, relieve some of that tension, and actually feel like you're talking and communicating with another person. So whatever it is in that vein to help you feel more real and honest and be vulnerable and personable and a little less awkward, all of those things can help you. All right, let's get down into the meat and potatoes of this video. A few tips to help you feel a little more confident on camera. Like I mentioned at the end of the last section, creating a visual representation of a person can help you feel less awkward, or having an actual person can help you feel less awkward. If you cannot do that, there are a few things that you can do on your own to help you feel more confident. The first thing I'm going to recommend is that you actually get in the habit of recording yourself, even if you don't post it, even if it's just for you to help you overcome that mental block. You need to be recording yourself. Record what you look like, record what you sound like, and listen to it and watch it. So many people record themselves, the way they look or the way they sound, and they don't watch or listen. And then when they hire someone or they try to do this professionally or they try to do this consistently, they psych themselves out because they're like, I'm doing the work, I'm recording myself, but you're not listening to it. You're not overcoming that mental block. You're not overcoming the way you look or the way you sound. Side note, if you don't like the way that you look, within reason, change it. If certain clothes don't make you feel confident, change into something that makes you feel confident. If a certain space or area or background or whatever makes you feel not confident, by all means, change it if it's within your power. Don't go out and get into debt or anything, but if you want to, if wearing t-shirts makes you feel uncomfortable or makes you look unprofessional, by all means, go get dressed up. If you're someone who wears makeup and being barefaced makes you feel uncomfortable or not confident, by all means, go put on makeup. Part of showing up authentically on camera and getting past that awkwardness is feeling confident. And if the first barrier to entry is the way you look, your clothes, makeup, hair, whatever, by all means, change it, fix it. Do that first. That is the very first step. Dress and prepare yourself so that you feel confident. The second thing, and this is a big one, a lot of people do not like the way that they sound on camera. They do not like the way that their voice translates. And so, part of that is listening. Record audio and listen to yourself over and over again and become comfortable with it. If that's something that you still can't overcome, go out and talk to people and ask them, or better yet, play the recording for them and ask, does this sound like me? Do I really sound like this? Not in a mean way, but like that validation of, yeah, that's pretty much what you sound like, can sometimes help you understand that that's how everyone hears you anyway. I know I said that in the beginning, but that is something that people really struggle with, the way that they sound. And so you need to condition your brain that this is my voice. This is what I sound like. And if you're on the bit extreme end, change the way you sound. People can Some people can increase or decrease the tone or inflection of their voice. And if that's something that really bothers you, by all means, change it. The main thing, though, is getting in the habit, creating a habit. And a few more tips and tricks of the trade. If you are someone who journals, if you are someone who writes down a to-do list or a task list or anything like that, record yourself speaking it. Only for you. But if you're like, I don't know what to practice, I don't know what to say, I don't know, record your task list, record your journal entry, record anything that you would normally do. Just record it and record yourself speaking. Make it a habit. You don't have to share it. You don't have to post it. You don't have to do anything with it except watch and listen to it. You need to condition yourself to seeing and hearing yourself. A few more practical tips. Sit up straight if you're sitting. If you're sitting, sit up straight. Studies have shown that when you sit in a more confident position, sometimes it helps you feel more confident. If you're standing, stand up straight. Don't slouch. Don't bend over. Don't lean. Those things can make you feel less confident. Whenever you are speaking to a camera or creating content, look in the lens of the camera. It's so tempting, especially everything has a flip screen or a reverse screen or people want to see themselves. People can tell when you're looking away from the lens. The lens is the eye. That's what you want to look at. So for my people on YouTube, now you can see what it looks like. I'm looking at myself right now, and you can tell that this looks different than this. For my audio people, I'm sorry you can't really tell by the sound of my voice, but on YouTube or on video platforms, you can see that, the difference between me looking at myself and looking you in the eye. There's a difference. Looking someone in the eye helps create some of that trust. It helps create some of that credibility, and it also helps you feel more confident or look more confident on camera. The last little tip is, I know we talked about not being perfect, but if it makes you feel insecure or less confident whenever you deliver a line, stop and redo it. Part of the beauty of living in this day and age is that we have so much access to technology and space in the form of SD cards and memory, is that you can just redo something. If something doesn't feel right, if you said something wrong, if it doesn't make sense to you, redo it. The whole point is for you to feel confident in your presentation and in your delivery, beyond all of the awkwardness of showing up online. Some people can really get hung up on the way that they look, the way that other people perceive them. And I would be lying to you if I said that there are not trolls on the internet who will talk about your appearance. It's just the nature of the game. However, as I mentioned in the last episode, creating value in whatever form that is for you, creating valuable content, putting out your message, putting out your story, sharing what you know to be true and what you know can be helpful to others is far more important than the way that you look on camera. I'll say it, I've said it 1,000 times already during this episode, but do whatever makes you feel confident on camera. Wear makeup, wear nice clothes, wear comfy clothes, whatever. That is step number one. Beyond that, you need to become the person who is secure with themselves if this is something that you want to pursue. You need to be comfortable with the way that you look. You need to be comfortable with the things that people may call out about your appearance and get past that so that you can continue to show up and deliver value and tell your story. Those are things that are far more important than the way that you look. And I wish that there was a way for me to share the confidence with other people, because if I could, I would. I know that there are things that people see about me and they don't like, and that people can talk about or make fun of or whatever. But I know that what I have to say and the value and the message that I'm delivering is far more important than what any internet troll can say about my appearance, point blank, period. So as I wrap up this episode, I really want to drive home the point of awkward and cringe content is better than no content. It's greater than not showing up at all. And it all depends on who I'm talking to. But I'm really talking to the person who wants to do this, who wants to show up online, who wants to create videos for their audience, who wants to find their tribe. Showing up awkward, showing up cringe, posting the video, posting the content will always be better than not posting the content, than not showing up online. There are far more greater benefits to you showing up and showing up consistently and showing up imperfectly and showing up as you are than not showing up at all. Whenever you decide to create videos and show up online and you push past that awkward cringe phase, it's always awkward and cringe until you make it. It's always awkward and cringe until it starts working. Then it's success. Then it's, how did you get here? Then it's, can you help me do it? But you have to move past that awkward cringe phase. You have to get over the hump of other people looking at you or judging you or talking about you or whatever. And here's a tidbit. Most people don't care. They might make a snide comment inside their head. They might make a snide comment online, but they're not doing it. And I'll give you another tidbit. You usually never receive comments about your appearance or it being awkward or cringe or anything from someone else who's doing this. Those comments and those things are usually reserved for people who are not doing it, who are not trying, who are not in your shoes, who are not in your position. Remember that. Those people are watchers. They're not doers. You should only be receiving feedback and comments and things from people who negatively, if at all, from people who are doing it, from people who want to help you, from people who want to see you grow. Those are the people you need to be listening to. And so keep that in mind as you embark on this journey or take the next step in creating and posting content online. Yes, it can be awkward. Yes, it can be cringy. Yes, it can be scary. But the people who are doing this know what it's like. They know the energy that it takes, the mindset that it takes, and they know that it can be intimidating to do this. But if you start showing up and you are genuinely seeking feedback, those people will give you real feedback. I will give you real feedback. Don't listen to the people who are not in your shoes or trying to do what you're trying to do. Those people are haters. Those people are watchers. They're not doers. So final little tidbits, as we wrap up this episode, as I mentioned, show up. It can be difficult. It can be scary, but the world needs your message. The world needs your story. The world needs what you have to offer. And you are doing them and yourself a disservice by not showing up in this capacity. Post the content, post the video, post the podcast, put it out there. You never know who's watching, you never know who's listening, and you never know what can come from it. If you are someone who has been watching this and listening to this and you feel inspired or energized, I would appreciate a thumbs up or a nice comment. If you are someone who is in the Denver, Colorado area, or better yet, you're someone who doesn't mind spending money to fly me out and you want my help specifically, there's a link down in the description below. The show notes of this podcast episode, the description of this YouTube video, what have you, that you can reach out to me and work with me directly. I recently took a trip to Nebraska to help a client specifically. So, I'm not opposed to traveling to help people show up online, show up on camera. I can bring my equipment. We can talk about it. Let's have a conversation down in the comments or reach out and, we can set that up and talk about what next steps looks like. If you enjoyed this episode, I appreciate you. Thank you for listening, watching all the way through. I greatly appreciate it. You guys are the real MVPs. This has been episode 5 of the Keep Creating podcast. My name is Larry G. I've been your gracious host for this episode. Until next time, remember to do the work, believe in yourself, and most importantly, keep creating. Peace.